Even mine do. My kids are older. Gabby not as much. Bella will be a little bit more. Gabby's it's constant. Even when they're out, we know exactly where they are. They're texting while they're out. We're gonna do this now. We're gonna do that. And sometimes I'm like, all right, just like check back at the thumbs up emoji. I'm like, I don't necessarily need to know. You're just going from there. It's nice that you're doing it, but like, I know you're out right now. Like you are safe. You're doing it. Like I feel like it's maybe a little bit over communication, but I guess I'd rather that than not knowing where the hell.
Yeah, don't complain about that one, guy.
No,
yeah,
I would.
I'd rather it that way than the other way.
I guess. It's just, lots of updates.
So the one that I was going over yesterday and a couple of days before, we managed to not talk any tennis. Let's get a tennis in a little bit.
I think it's important maybe start tennis.
Yes.
Or maybe keep hashing it.
Yes. Yeah. We did. That was about 2 hours. It was fun. Tennis. It was fun. You actually said to me, do we talk any tennis? So the obvious French Open wrap up on what kind of the favorites won it, right? Djokovic and Iga. You know what? I'm curious. What were the ratings for the final, for the men's final? With him trying to break the record, but not being as popular as Federer.
You think people don't even care because it's Djokovic?
I think part of it, but a lot of it's a big accomplishment. It's just I'm curious. I'm just curious because I know the Australian Open, from what I read when he was in the final there, I know the ratings weren't too big, but I'm not sure about this one. I haven't watched it. I don't know. Have you watched it?
No.
I didn't watch it.
Thing is, I know people don't like him, like as a person, I guess. But do people not find his game interesting at all too? Because is it like, okay, maybe you don't have to like someone, but are you? They're going to be breaking a record, and they're obviously that you're playing at a certain level. Or do people not even find his game interesting to watch?
I think a lot of people they kind of know what to expect.
Right.
And I think that's not whatever. I didn't watch it because I had other things, but I knew the result beforehand.
Meaning what?
Just
that he's going to win, or just even how he's going to play?
How he's going to play.
How he's
going to play. He's going to get every ball back. It's going to be a machine there. It's just going to run for everything.
Like Lendl, like.
Yeah.
People didn't like. Yeah. People didn't,
We talked. Go ahead.
Well, you look at it, and you look at it from 2 points of view. People that understand tennis and play it like us.
Yep.
And how do we rate his game? Boring, predictable. And then to the novice, that is just, Djokovic is about to break the record. Watching his game. Anything exciting gets them stirred up.
Right.
To a novice.
Yes.
Not really, right?
No,
Instead of seeing like Federer going out there slicing, drop shotting.
Being creative, that we talked about that before.
Sampras hitting big bomb serves.
Yep.
There's nothing exciting to entice one extreme to watch him. And then the other extreme, I'll take me. I don't want to watch him. I know what's going to happen. There's nothing there for, someone to want to gravitate to watch him break a huge record.
Yeah.
I really think the ratings were small.
Yeah.
I do. I didn't look it up, but
me neither.
I mean, I was at the tournament. No one talked about it.
Nobody, huh?
Nobody.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I get something on my phone. Djokovic breaks the record, and then I just start talking about it. Like, oh, okay, and then they're done.
I know.
Federer would be like, oh my God, yeah, Fed.
Yeah.
Sampras, anybody, Agassi.
Yeah.
That's got to be so.
I think that fuels him.
Of course it does.
Maybe it could either crush you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or you can embrace the like in wrestling, there's the good guy and the bad guy. Whatever. Like some people embrace kind of the bad. Maybe he likes to like a little stick it to.
McEnroe had a little bit, but he said it multiple times. Like if you don't think that fuels him, you're wrong because it does.
Right.
And
what you got to be wired a certain way to.
Yeah, you do, and he is wired like that.
Make that be your motivation. Yeah. Be like, I'm like, most of you want the support of everyone. You're like, you want everyone to you're wiring to be like, I'm gonna show all these people that like, despite what they think, I'm gonna go out there and just keep doing exactly what I do, whether they like it or not. What
right, you got to respect the athlete, and I'm sure he's a good guy and all that stuff. It's just when he gets in a competitive mode, to me, he swears to the crowd. Not once, not twice. Is has those weird conversation with his box. But I guess it's all release and all that stuff. But for some people, and me included, being there, it just doesn't attract me as a fan when I see that.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
what you do on the court is great, and off the court is funny, and
Right.
I'm sure he's a great guy. I am. But
he clearly doesn't care about that.
what exactly?
He's not out
Well, when
there
he's
to
on the
make
court,
fans.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
This is the way I'm the best at doing my thing.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. I mean, 23 Grand Slams is massive, right? So yeah, but again, you were in a tournament and nobody was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
We were at the party, and it hasn't been brought up.
That's what I mean. See what I mean?
With
Nothing.
with 98% tennis
Tennis
players in
players.
attendance.
Yes.
That's
Exactly
weird. I
what I
forgot it
mean.
was even.
Yeah.
Was it that day?
That was
what?
that day.
Yeah.
That's when the party started. The French Open was on.
Just, I mean,
So-
remember when we, following Fed, and I know we're
Yep.
huge Fed fans, we would get together to watch finals.
Or text during
Or
it. and-
text.
Yeah.
Did you see that backhand? Did you see that? That's far from.
But see, there you go. What you just say that you're watching a beautiful part of tennis,
There you go.
right? That's versus. Look, that's just for us. Maybe for some other people, that what he does, it is
They might.
nice and it's good,
Yeah.
and it's good for him. It's just
Yeah.
it's a very interesting to me, very interesting dynamic, and yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to hear other opinions on it. But again, he is a big athlete. He is massive. Obviously, it's just sometimes when you see them, the whole swearing
Yeah.
and
Overall
crowd.
for the game.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah.
as.
yeah. So
yeah.
on the ladies' side, Iga, this is the third one, Iga Swiatek. It was a good, but I think the winner of this whole, like the biggest star coming out of this whole tournament is Mukova,
Yeah.
and the way the crowd rallied behind her, supported her at the press conference. She was down 6-2, 3-love in the final. She came back, gave him a fight, won that 7-5, 6-4 in the third. In a semis versus Zabalenka, she was down 5-2 in the third set, came back 1-7-5. She didn't play a couple of tournaments. She only played a couple of tournaments this year. And but man, if you watch her movement, she's a super athlete.
Mhm.
Like, I watched after I was watching a couple of highlights of her. She does tweeners, man. She comes in, volleys, like super athlete. You should see her throw a football. Mind you, she's European. American football is not.
Right.
You should see her throw a football. Like one of those just can do
Yeah.
everything. Mukova's like definitely the winner of the fan favorite for that tournament, in my opinion, I think. But yeah. And then Casper Ruud got in the final again, snuck in. Didn't, same thing as last year. Not too many big wins there.
Do you think that's just going to happen to him? I've watched him play. He's solid. He doesn't have the thing to get him over the hump?
He just needs to be able to beat those big guys.
Do you think he has that?
No. I don't think his backhand is good enough for that. I think his backhand is a liability at this point. He's working on it, I know that, because I keep hearing it. But and I think
How many
that's
finals has he been in?
three Grand Slam finals.
Yeah. That's
I know, but the thing is, if you're good enough to get to 3 finals, winning a final to me at that point is more mental than fit. Like, you think his game is good enough to get to the final, and whoever he plays in the final, that is just next level enough that
Yes.
he can't do it.
Yeah, because I think up until, and even it's debatable now, but up until, I said it before, and I could be wrong, but that's what I think I heard at the U.S. Open last year. That was the second Grand Slam final he got to without beating a top 10. So he hasn't seen a top 10 in up until 2 finals. In this tournament, he beat Rune, but Rune was
How
off
is
from
that
a-
happening? There's just upsets in
upsets,
and he's sliding through.
and then he beats Zverev, but Zverev's not even it's not a top 10 now. He's 25 in the rankings,
Yeah.
and he's coming back
so
from
he's good
an
enough
injury.
to beat everybody who's not in that.
Yeah,
next,
so
the
it's,
very
it's
next
yeah, just when you
level.
hit a,
Yeah.
look, he might win one, and I hope he does. But I think that's right. There's a difference between a top 5, top 10, top 2.
Oh, what can be worse than having chances and not converting because every time you don't, it gets harder to do.
Yeah, to get
Of course,
back.
right? And you have
Now
that
you
weight.
get that monkey on
Yeah.
your back where it gets like harder. Where it's not even about you being in the final. It's about like, can you like anything you've done great? Like a lot of people, it's they did so good that they're. But
Yeah,
now it becomes about can you beat the monkey on your back? You know.
it's. I think
Terrible
Murray.
spot.
I wish Ellis was here to look it up, but I think I'm not sure how many finals
You
is
think
Murray.
Murray has the most bridesmaids?
I think at least before he won one, because I think him and Lendl had like 3 or 4 before they won one. I'm curious about that, but we can. I think he had 4 or 5 before he won one.
That's a lot. I mean, having 1 or 2 of them is probably pretty common. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the,
yeah.
adjust to the
You can just
moment.
make it.
No,
yeah.
let's not forget about the massive, achievement of
Getting
Oh,
to
it
a Grand
is.
Slam
getting to
final.
Grand Slam final.
Getting the 3 of them and
right?
losing is still a massive
Still a massive
achievement.
achievement, right?
Well, that's how
awesome.
much pressure is that now people dissect and be like, well, just a minute ago,
I know.
you're like, well,
I know.
some finals,
I
but he
know.
didn't really beat anyone.
I know.
And that guy's probably like, fuck you.
Yep.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
to
And he
3
should be.
Grand Slam
Yeah, he should be.
finals,
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
You know, but
I-
you don't think that messes with your head a little bit when you're playing every, even when you get a win, and you're like,
Yeah.
wish
But-
that guy had a better goddamn ranking. You know, it's like it. Honestly,
I know, but if you put it in it's what category you put this discussion. You put it in a Grand Slam wins discussion. If you put it in a good player discussion, that guy's an unbelievable
Oh
player.
yeah.
That guy's a top 10er. That guy's a top 3er. He won a bunch of tournaments. He won, I think, 8 tournaments last year, maybe 9. He got his 10th this year in Portugal. So he's a great player. But if you talk about winning Grand Slams, I think that's right. You're talking a very rarefied air there.
right.
I just did I talk and camera was on you. I did an Ellis.
I'll mouth while you're
Yeah.
talking if that happens again. It's a lot of action. A lot of action.
It is a lot of action there, but it's okay. It would have been cooler to be somewhere here, but it's all right. Yeah. So that, but at least it was a good. I think the matches were good. At least it was a good tournament. And
Did we last time we were here? I know we talked about it. I don't know if we did last time we were here. That girl that got defaulted for
Oh, that was just
Oh.
for doubles.
because
I
I've
know.
now seen that video a few times, and that move she made, I've seen countless times.
oh, let's talk about that.
Other people do that where they take a ball. Dude, she had
And
an-
just
she had
fire
a,
it.
dude. She didn't fight. She had an open racket face,
Yeah.
and she like sliced it, like it floated, so it went all the way back to the wall, and that ball girl was just running back
course.
to the wall and took it
Yeah.
in the. I mean, it wasn't even like she swung at it or fired it any other way. She literally tossed it and chipped it so it floated.
Yeah.
Which besides that, we can talk about that for, but that at some point we're gonna talk about that ball girl's reaction. That is the most I can't even figure out what's happening there. That is the most the speed that ball hit her doesn't. You would not only was she crying, she was doing the deep crying. You know, like the deep crying where you're like really blowing it out, like maybe total embarrassment or something. But it doesn't. Like there's so many things that don't add up there.
So I might have talked about this one before. That was exactly my reaction. We can get back to it. And Rach said, wait a second. Do you know that image of her crying was taken after she got hit or after all of the commotion
Mhm.
and the attention around it
I don't,
happened?
but I do know that they said that it did make her cry. That's
Well,
why that was part of the.
so
I think that was part of the thing, right? Because that's what they're saying. It caused injury. That's like part of the ruling is like if you hit a ball,
it is
that causes injury.
But when I say cameras, right? So let's say that here's the scenario. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
That player hits the ball.
Yeah.
Hits this girl. Right? Those other the opponents see that.
Yeah.
Right? They go start.
That's another thing we have
Yes,
to touch
yeah,
base on. There's so many aspects.
They go to the umpire. They start.
Right.
Now there's point penalty.
Yep.
Right? Or a warning, whatever they gave her. Now there's a tournament director coming.
Yep.
So it's this
Okay.
whole massive
all
thing.
about her.
All about
which
her.
now, okay.
Now, can she start crying now?
Yes.
Or did she start crying?
Yes.
By all of that. And that's when camera goes on that. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's just, that ball didn't hit you. Why?
Yeah. That's
So,
fair enough.
you
And
know,
I
it's
could
fit-
see
yeah.
her
So
in that moment with that much attention.
exactly.
How old? I mean, you
Dude,
don't
she
know.
looked like she was like, I don't know, 13 years
Yeah,
old.
12,
That's what I
13,
mean.
yeah,
You-
12,
you
13
can't
years old.
hold your emotions there that easily.
I think she, yeah.
No, that makes, by the way, that makes more sense to me than her crying after getting
Because
hit
of,
with
like-
the ball didn't
Yeah.
add up. I'm just like,
Correct.
what?
It's
Unless
Yeah.
she was
flowing.
so embarrassed. But the gravity of that whole moment of now this whole thing taking place and knowing
Yeah.
her, I can see how you like might.
Wait a second,
you
what
might, What did I just do?
What I just do, I didn't
Yeah.
try to catch the ball or whatever. So that could have, now I'm not saying that was, but that could have created that tension.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
now you have cameras now
Builds
putting
up.
those two together. They build it up to,
Yeah.
oh, she cried.
Yeah.
And people jumped on that. We don't know, right? But it does remain the fact that if you're those opponents
Dude.
and you go and you try to win a match on that,
Well, that's sad.
that is like, sorry, shame
Were
on
people
you.
talking,
Shame on you.
Were people talking about that? I feel
A
like
little
we've
bit.
discussed that a little bit. I haven't heard like
A little
like the
Well,
aftermath of it all when you read stuff. I didn't hear anyone being like, and honestly, like, what was that like?
They try to be
you're
non-confrontational. Tennis Channel's trying to be non-confrontational quite like a lot.
Yeah.
They try to bring some stuff off, but not blood. In a way, it's a good thing because they don't draw outside of court attention to the sport. So I like
Right.
that. I do think that something like that needed to be discussed a little bit more because.
Do you really want to win a match that way?
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Like something was already done about it, right? So there was a
Correct.
warning or a point penalty
Point
was given.
penalty, and now
so
they want.
so the issue happened. It was already addressed. Now you're like, well, wait a minute. There should actually be we should actually just win that. Like that's the way you want to take your point penalty. You shouldn't even don't even get a point for that. It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
It's not even. It should not even enter your mind of. Like whatever the match is, just
Right.
stay focused on your tactics and strategy.
Right.
You don't
right.
go tell the umpire. But here's the other part about that that's extremely weird to me is the fact that the umpire made a ruling. They complained, and the umpire changed the
Changed it.
ruling. So you're not supposed to be able to change the umpire's ruling on the court.
I thought the tournament director came out and then changed, and isn't that
Is that what it was?
No, I think
I'm not- I'm
I
not.
thought he made a ruling. They went and complained, and then the tournament director came out.
Oh, he
and then
overruled.
there was
Okay,
like a
that
thing.
makes
I
that makes
thought
better sense. So then the umpire is excused. Then that's good. That's fine.
It's such a bush league way to
It
win.
really is.
Honestly,
terrible.
Right?
Absolutely terrible.
like you ever been in a match where like it even ends? You know, maybe it's a tiebreaker, or even a set or a match. Like someone, probably more a match than a set because in a set you're still in, like someone has a terrible double fault. Even that, you're like, you kind of look at your partner and you walk up and you're like,
Oh, you don't pump
you
it
don't
up
even
on that?
you don't even like that ending of it. You like you want the I don't know.
Yeah.
And look, I'll take a win any goddamn way I can, but like there is something about like there can be weird endings where you're like, "Oh, I'll take this, but I'll not do it." That's like working hard
To win it that
to
way.
create
Yeah.
that ending. Like, no. She did this. Like, you should just hand us the match. That's a
If
that's a
you-
weird.
if-
yeah. Ugh, I
If
don't
you
know.
this compilations of fun ones, compilation of Fed testing the ball kids, and he has those unbelievable like little one hits, boom, to test the net.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like a
and
ball coming back and
Yeah.
that's
boom.
pretty funny.
And the net, it's so many, it's so fun.
Oh, I'm
and the
gonna
ball
YouTube
kids
that
know
tonight.
they know that
Keep
they
on their
want-
toes. Be ready.
Yeah,
Be ready.
but those balls are being hit like 5 times faster than what that ball was. It's
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a clip of, I thought it was Nadal. Someone told me it was someone else, where I thought he like maybe returns a serve late, and the ball kid posted like by the net takes it like
Maybe.
off the head,
maybe
a goddamn forehand, and he like walks
That
up and
happens a
kind of
lot.
gives like
Yeah.
a hug,
A hug.
and all of a sudden and play went on.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
opponent didn't ask him to get the fault.
They weren't like, actually, let's get the rule
Yeah.
book out. And by the way, that had to hurt more than a ball being.
that was, if you know tennis, that ball was nothing.
I can't.
That
even,
was
right.
just a
I can't believe that
That was a feed.
tournament director made that choice, and then
That's
it came
bad.
under no
Criticism.
like what an
There were
overly-
some.
overly-
Alex Correcha was on Eurosport, and he was, there was a couple other ones.
That was a couple rounds in, I
Yeah.
think, right?
Yeah.
So that team forfeits all their points, and then also all the money that they've
yeah,
won.
man.
in
You're
previous-
talking about
in
people's
previous
livelihood,
rounds.
man.
Mhm.
Do you know how much those points count for them when they play doubles?
Yeah, dude. How about the money? Everyone wants some money.
Yeah,
They're
then-
not
yeah,
like
well-
I don't know.
Well, there's both, right? Because there's money in the points. You get those points in a Grand Slam, and you go deeper into it. That gets you into so many other draws.
Right.
So now
Right.
that's money for the next 3-4 months because your ranking is up because those
Right.
heavy points.
Right.
So it's money and points, yeah. And now you would.
Yeah, that's a terrible.
Yeah,
that's a terrible decision.
I wonder if they. I mean, it wasn't big enough for it to be. I don't know, draw too much attention because it was a second round or so. But I wonder if those players got a little backlash on on the other side. I'm curious.
Yeah, that is something.
Right?
It'd be nice to find out. It would.
I mean, they must have.
No doubt. In
Probably
the locker
heckle,
room
heckle.
or amongst other
Oh, yeah.
players,
Yeah,
like
of course.
Yeah.
Have to.
no one was like, "Good for you for standing up for the rules." Like that's not the way it worked. They probably
That-
like, people just like they walk by people like tying their sneakers. It's like, sorry,
Yeah.
you're doing something else. Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, I bet looking back, if they realized that was going to be the result, they might actually make a different choice. Maybe they didn't even realize, like, they were just maybe trying to, I don't know, dig in a little bit more, or maybe look. I don't know what else they would look for, but I can't imagine that that's the way
They were hoping it's gonna
a
go.
pro athlete you want to get a match handed to you. No
Yeah.
way. No, it's like cheating to win. It's like calling a ball out, before you have lines people.
Mm-hmm.
It's my match point. If I'm playing, I can just, ball's close, I can just call it out. I win that match. But I'm like, I didn't really win this. I did. It's going to go on my stats. I won.
Yeah.
I did this. I realize I cheated, and it's not like cheating, but it's like it's getting it's a win you didn't earn.
Yeah, it's
And
an
you should
unearned-
earn. You
yeah,
should
of
earn.
course.
You should
Yeah.
earn a win, especially for there's points, like you're saying. There's money on the line. A win should be earned. It shouldn't be.
How about your life's work?
or
of-
unless someone goes totally haywire. If she took that ball
And fired
and
it.
yeah, which is
fired it and then hemmed up a
Yep.
ball girl in the throat, you'd be like, dude, you can't do that.
that's
sorry,
yeah, but that wasn't it. There's got to be
Not the
and the rule
case.
is so vague,
Dude,
right? It's like
But
it hits.
the vaguer it is, that should be. There's room for interpretation.
Yep.
Let's take the whole situation into
Yeah.
consideration.
If the ball is 16.5 miles per hour, yep. If the ball is 16.5 miles per hour, it shouldn't count. It doesn't. I don't care, right? There was a last year's match at Wimbledon. It was Tsitsipas versus Kyrgios. I don't know actually who. I think it might have been Tsitsipas. Kyrgios got on his skin, big time, and it was. I cannot wait to see this acrobatic.
Oh, gosh.
Oh yeah, here we go, Kevin. Should
Injury. Can't work tomorrow.
we do? So Tsitsipas Kyrgios. Kyrgios was playing well, got under his skin.
Yeah.
That's when Kyrgios got to the final, and Tsitsipas was just swinging for the fences. He was trying to hit Kyrgios. He lost the game, and he whacked the ball behind him,
Yeah.
and it went. Remember that one?
I
It went-
watched that whole match.
Yes, it went like so fast into the stands. If we would have hit somebody in the stands, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
And that now that's something that if you hit somebody, that speed, it could. Same thing in Shapovalov, right? When he was 17 when he hit that umpire in the eye.
Yeah.
Kind of detach his retina or whatever that is. The guy needs surgery. So that's look, and he knew he was fine with that. But this was nothing. Like even Djokovic, like when he got defaulted at the U.S. Open 3-4 years ago, I think was playing
when he hit the line judge.
Yes, he lost the first set to Carreño Busta.
Yep.
And he hit the line judge. But even that, I'm not sure how fast that was, but I think that was a straight hit. This one was just in the shoulder. But again, I don't think that girl was. Let's put it. I think there was a possibility of that girl crying after all the attention. We have to.
Well, yeah, I totally think that could be a feasible.
It could
that
be.
Happen.
It could be.
I mean,
Because we tend to jump on what we see in images, but they
I
That way actually makes I never even considered that. That way adds up in my mind of that being.
It's hard to interpret intent.
Yeah.
But she literally chipped the ball out of frustration. The intent was just to maybe blow off a little steam and just float it down.
Doesn't even look like blowing out steam.
But you talk about Shapovalov and Tsitsipas.
Yeah.
Their intent was to hit the ball really hard.
Really hard, yeah.
And then if someone gets hit, you had intent because you hit the ball 90 miles per hour. She floated it about 10 miles per hour.
Dude, her intent looked like she was trying to give it back to that. That's where the balls go, in between points.
Yeah.
Like very nice.
You're
like
required.
here, correct. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so required to hit it to
That
them.
tournament director, he should look in the mirror and say, "Wow, I really did that to them."
I know. That's again, it's a life. Sometimes for some of those players, it's a life achievement to play in a Grand Slam. Like think how many players, man, how many players are in this world and good players, and just to make it to a Grand Slam, just to be there.
Oh yeah,
It's
round
a
one.
massive achievement, man.
Of course.
I would take qualies.
Qualies. Yeah. Get to the qualies.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's you got the qualities of Grand Slam. You're in the top 256 players in the world for that discipline. That's impressive. To take that from somebody just because you just want to win, yeah.
Didn't, by the way, Edberg hit an umpire and they fell out of the chair and hit their head and died?
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Know that.
Oh, I wish Ellis was here.
I know Ellis is. Yeah,
I'm pretty
we need
sure Edberg, very early in his
serious?
career.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Yeah.
Not died on the spot. Died eventually. Like went to the hospital.
I don't remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure he hit someone and they hit their head on the ground.
Huh.
Maybe not the chair. I don't know how you. It would make sense. It would be the chair umpire because you're not just I'm pretty sure that's. I mean, why else would I have that memory of? That'd be
I
a
don't
weird
know, but
thing.
I don't know about it. Again, Ellis, we have to look this up next one.
You get your phone.
No, we don't have a.
We don't
has their
all of
phone.
us don't have our phones.
This is what it was like without Google.
Yes.
Look at us. We're like, and I just probably make up an answer. I'd be like, yeah, no, it was this. But now that we have Google, I'm very guarded. I'm like, well, someone is going to be able to look it up and know it is. But I'm pretty sure that happened.
That's that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Not for the guy dying, obviously, but for the player to have that. That's. I mean, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate. Like, I don't even know. I mean,
I guess yeah.
you're like, dude, I'm hitting I don't know. I'm hitting a tennis ball. I'm not sure how it happened, but we'll do it to be continued on that one. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Let's
that
look
was.
that up.
I'm pretty sure that was a real thing, though. You know,
Yeah, but I guess.
and not defaulted.
Yeah. I guess that
That
girl
I don't
won.
know. I'm making that part up. But.
I mean, if it's not unintentional, I don't see how.
Well, if someone dies, the match should get interrupted.
I was about to
no
say
doubt.
the match is interrupted, but do you get
No
defaulted?
doubt. That's what I mean. Who knows?
Ellis. the girl that got defaulted won the mixed.
Yeah.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a cool thing. Yeah. Life karma. Like, all right.
Yeah. It's still, it's way blown. That's just a bad decision. That guy under pressure, whoever that tournament director was just not firing under pressure. Although you'd think that would be part of it. You'd be ready to.
You have to. You.
I guess you're not necessarily in that position. You're not used to having to make an on-court decision
Well,
like that.
I
I mean,
disagree.
doesn't it?
I
doesn't
disagree
it
there.
boil down? I mean, the chair umpire has it, but if there's something beyond that, is that that's sort of one of your duties?
Oh, yeah,
as a
it is.
tournament director?
You're a tournament director of
Yes.
one of the top 4 tournaments in the world ever. You got to know every goddamn rule
Correct.
there is and know how to interpret it and know what the
Yeah.
wiggle
Well, that's the key.
room in
He
there.
knew the problem was he knew the rule. It's like he wasn't willing
But this
to put
wiggle
any
room-
in. Right,
Yeah.
right.
You just go by the book because you want to play it safe because you want to be like, oh, I just followed the book. No,
Right.
there's a little bit more than that. A 2 mile per hour ball and a 100 miles per hour ball, two different things. Intent and non-intent.
Yeah. Again, who knows? Maybe that guy at a tournament director somewhere else interpreted a rule, and it blew up in his face, and someone's like, "Look, just follow the goddamn rules.
Yeah.
Quit putting your spin on it." Like, who knows why he chose that?
I guess.
But it was the wrong choice.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone talk about that and be like, "Yeah, well, a rule's a rule," and you do that. Like, I don't know.
It's not good. Yeah. Mixed. We'll cover that.
I know you just made one.
Yeah, no.
I know, dude.
Yeah, come on. Did you bring some for? Did you bring one here? There you go. All right, so that's that. Grass season coming up. There's some good matches.
I forgot how quickly the next season
Right.
starts. Monday, I came in and there was
Green.
there was grass on the TV. I'm like, wow, I forgot. It's like really,
It moves on.
it shows you what a grind
The tour is.
the tour is. Like the major, it's just to build up to that. The major of that surface was just there. And then that Monday, the very next day, they're like, okay, we're doing this all again on
Moving on.
something new.
Moving on.
It's like,
Yeah, so can I throw some props out to one of my tennis idols growing up? Bjorn Borg. Winning clay and then winning Wimbledon.
It's 5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
Switching surfaces like that. That's
Yeah, 5
That's a
times.
major.
wait, he did that 5 times in a row?
Yeah.
Yes, major accomplishment.
Yeah.
And that turnaround is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big. I don't think it has been done since.
That-
Nadal's got 3 Wimbledons, 4, but not. And
Not
they
after
probably,
he won,
they probably, but not in a row.
Not in a
After he
row,
won the
not
French, I'm
back to
pretty sure
back.
after he won the French.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever went.
The next
Not
year
win the
did it
French.
again.
Win the French. Not win the French and win Wimbledon. I don't think it ever happened. I think whenever he won Wimbledon, it was after the French. So
Yeah.
that's a tough double.
Yeah, that is a tough
That's a
double.
tough double. Djokovic's done it a couple of times.
Yep.
Actually, I'm not sure he's done it because Djokovic. No, this was his 3rd French Open, and I don't know if he won the Wimbledons after he won the French that year, possibly, but yeah. So yeah, grass is coming. Some good. It's you see different players coming out, and it's so funny to see players coming to retirement. Not retirement, sorry, coming out of an injury that just choose to come back on grass, which is to me a very, very risky move to come back on this
An
the
unstable surface.
Yeah, that you can
Unpredictable.
Game's
slide and
faster. You're
Very
sliding.
fast.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
quick changes. But I guess if your game suits like Raonic
Yeah,
came
big,
back,
big.
big serve, big.
Yeah.
Nishikori after not playing 20, so Raonic 2 years, Nishikori 20 months of not playing, and they're both back on grass. They chose maybe because the clay is too much grind for their body,
Could be.
and
Yeah.
the grass is
Faster
quicker
points.
game. Yeah, quicker game, faster points. It's
Well, I didn't realize Nishikori's been out that long.
yeah, 20 months,
2
and then
years.
that's on the top of a pandemic. So that's why we haven't heard from him for like a long time. Yeah. Same thing with Raonic, 2 years, man. The other day I was thinking randomly, did he retire?
Where
Did
is
he,
he?
did he retire quietly? Because you
Mhm.
sometimes randomly you see a tournament like, oh, Raonic got to the final here, or like. And
What did he do? He injured what?
I don't know. He always had leg problems, that guy. But I don't know. He's got very long legs. He's a tall guy, but it seems like the legs go up to his like ribs. Very long legs.
Not in proportion to the rest of his body.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I see it, but strong legs, but long. There's some players like that. And then you have the opposite. You have if you watch Albert Ramos Vinolas, it's almost the opposite. Long arms, long upper body,
Short legs.
shorter legs.
Stubby.
Well, no, he's pretty tall, but so quick on clay, but tall. It's good. I mean, that guy made a career, like awesome career. It's just sometimes
That's such a
body
weird
types.
combo. That seems like that should be something that's just automatically proportioned.
Yeah,
Like your top half and your.
but some
I mean, it is in most people.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But don't you have
Like lengthwise, at least. You know.
wasn't Phelps?
Oh, he was.
Isn't he long both? I mean, he's tall.
Yeah, but I
and
thought
then
it
he's
was.
got
I thought it was something was out of
I think
ordinary
he
with
just
him.
had. I think he might have had. Did he have a really long
Wingspan. So that
So there you
he
go,
was
so
able
long
to
arms.
generate.
So there you
more.
go. So that's longer arms then. But I thought of something. Internal. I thought his longer heart capacity was just massive. Or it is massive.
You mean the lung capacity for him to
So
breathe,
like for him to breathe,
I'm not
like
sure if
keep his
that's-
head in the water longer.
or the heart
Heart
pumping?
is something. Yeah. Again,
Was he a fish?
Ellis, where are you,
Maybe
buddy?
he's an amphibian.
But I think there was something with him, something that he but he developed over time or whatever it is that was
Yeah.
now helping him. We just have a lot of maybes here.
Turns out without Google, we have no actual knowledge.
Yeah, without backing that up.
I think a real lot of things.
Yeah, I think I heard that before.
I don't know anything.
Wimbledon, right? It's Djokovic favorite there. Curious some of the games. Curious how Alcaraz is gonna translate. How Medvedev is gonna translate to grass.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like sometimes when you watch the tennis isn't always that like years ago it was way different on grass. Like I feel like guys still will get out there and they're grinding from the baseline.
Well, they changed the
Well,
grass.
they've slowed it down.
Yeah, it's now it's rye grass in most of those places, and I played on that one. So I played on regular grass, and then in the same tournament, you play on rye, and it's a completely different surface. It bounces like almost like a hard court. It's pretty impressive.
And
so
it's the same length off the ground.
Whatever
and all
they
that
do
stuff.
with it,
How
I don't
can
know.
that be? How can that
I know, but it bounces, just true bounce, high bounce. Its timing is so different on. You can literally see that because on a regular grass, man, the ball skids and just goes. You better hit a slice, it's gone. On this one, it stays up, so you can. So that I think that's the biggest difference. You think?
Yeah.
That's
I do. I think they did that because they wanted to stir up a little bit more interest of people watching more rallies for the common people.
Yeah.
You know, serve and volley's been gone for a while.
Has been, yeah.
Right. And it's also, I mean, if you're a tennis player, that's impressive. If you're not a tennis player,
Correct.
it's not that impressive.
They don't. Yeah.
As a tennis player, you can see the
Oh,
skill
serve and
and just
volley.
the sheer, like just, serving to a location, coming in and cutting off maybe even one more. Like you're impressed with what it takes to leave a ball short that's fired at you and
course.
angled off. But for someone watching it, you're just like, that's,
Yeah, what's happened? They're just hitting a ball.
You're like, that's not that much fun. Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I feel like, Who was the last?
I was just going to ask, how many serve and volleyers are there? Like
Who was the last person that did
true
it?
serve and volleyers.
I think it was, what's his name?
Can we name?
Right now,
I
Yeah,
think
right
it was.
now.
What was that? That was an American kid.
Maxine
7
Cressy.
years ago. Didn't somebody do it
Cressy?
after him?
Cressy is a serving volleyer now.
He still does it.
Well, Cressy is fairly new to the scene.
Okay.
I mean, not fairly new, but
Anybody else?
no, but he's like top 50. It's not like it's crushing it in top 10
Yeah.
or top 20. So it's not
Who was that kid that played probably like 10, 15 years ago?
Taylor Dent.
Yeah, Taylor
Oh, yeah.
Dent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
He's kind of the.
kind of.
He was. I mean, that guy.
He was doing that.
He was
know the-
pretty full on with that.
Yeah, the last one to do that, it was is Misha Zverev. He got to the quarters of Australian Open 2017. He beat Murray there in the first or second round, and he was a pure serving volleyer. And then the other one, there was still, I think he just retired. It's Feli Lopez.
Felly.
He's good on grass. So I wonder if he's gonna
Mhm.
play this grass court season because this is his last year, and that's the last
When's
the last that I can think of. They could be
Right.
serving volley.
that they did that
Yeah.
and they were good, but did any of those guys win it? Like,
No,
can you?
no.
You
to
can't
win,
actually
you mean
like
to
the
win a-
game.
No,
You can't even.
no.
You can be really good at that, and you can play it at the pro level, but you can't compete. The game has changed enough that you can't even
Yeah.
compete doing that.
Yeah, we're
all the
talking. You're
time.
right. We're talking people that made it 4 rounds
Right.
on a good
Right.
one. Yeah, you're right. It's not like we're not talking winning grand
You're not
slams.
winning Grand Slams.
Yeah, what's the last? So Sampras the last one to win it. Is a
Probably
serving
Yeah.
volleyer?
Sampras.
Yeah.
Wow,
Right?
wow,
True serving volleyer.
true serving volleyer
Sampras.
to win a grand slam. You could argue that Fed was that in 2003
Yeah, but
because he changed his
Yeah,
game, but
a
not
little
really.
More of
Yeah, a little more variety,
yeah,
but that's
yeah.
right. Wow. So it's been 22 years,
When was Rafter?
21 years.
What about Rafter?
That was
Roughly
early '90s.
2000. I think he got
Was
to
he af-
98 and
Was he
2000.
after Sampras
Really?
or before? Because he was a serving volleyer too.
He
He
was
was.
during Sampras. I think he won 98 and he won 2000.
He won
lost
what? Wimbledon one
Wimbledon.
year, and then what?
2.
He won 2
Yeah,
Wimbledons.
serving
Two
volley.
Wimbledon, or two Wimbledons, yeah, I think. Again, I know he got 2 Grand Slams.
Yeah.
I think. But and then he lost to Ivanisevic in the final 2001, and right, and then Sampras won U.S. Open 2002, and that was the last
okay.
of that generation.
Got ya.
Yeah, I
Who's that
wish
German guy? He was a serving volleyer too.
Michael
wasn't it?
Stich?
Stich.
Yeah, he
Michael
was a
Stich.
serving.
He was,
right,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
he was mid
he
to late
didn't-
90s.
He was. Was he
Yeah.
before all that? Before like
It was before Fed came out. Yeah, it's like mid to late 90s, I think. Yeah.
although he didn't. Oh, he did. He won some Grand Slams, right? He won a
Stich?
Wimbledon.
Steak?
I don't think so.
Oh, he didn't.
I don't think so. No.
He didn't win one Wimbledon.
You know what?
I think he
I
did.
thought
He did? Did he win one with him?
I was watching.
Maybe.
I watched the Becker thing.
You did? So Stich won
I
one Wimbledon?
thought he won one. Again, no Google. I
know.
thought he did.
I think he did too. I think he did too.
I thought he did. I thought that was mentioned in the Becker thing.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I thought-
I know he's a good player. He was
yeah.
tall, lanky guy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
But that, again,
He
we're
had a
talking.
weird service motion though.
Mm-hmm.
He had a weird game. A lot of those
Back
serving
then,
volleyers
looked-
had weird looking, like their ground strokes are weird. That's why they're serving like. Think about
They just want to get off the baseline.
think about like
Yeah.
McEnroe,
yeah.
Well,
Edberg,
one
Yeah.
grip.
Becker, even like hit like they boob like weird, just weird ground strokes. Like it was like it was like their grounds. They didn't even want to hit them. It was literally it's like just get
Yeah.
one ball in play and
Yeah, get in.
get to net
Get
as
in.
fast as you can every single time.
So what changed there, obviously we all know that, is that disproportionate human speed versus technology,
Mhm.
I think. Because, right, the technology wasn't as evolved, so the ball wasn't hit with that much spin, wasn't hit that fast. Humans did evolve, like the tennis players have evolved in speed and coverage and everything else, but I think technology is far ahead, so you can create now angles from parts of the court that they were not possible before, so all of those patterns of serving volley are kind of gone.
Right.
You have to almost like reinvent that play to be able to make it And I think it's gonna happen, or at least it's gonna be this. The +1 was gonna be an approach, and then you go in to try to finish the net. I think that might be a little bit more realistic at this point, but I don't see it consistent unless Maxine Kress. If you watch him, 6'6", bombs first and second. He just goes for it, goes for gold, and goes in. And he's like, I'm gonna try to do this on serving volley. So it's good for him.
You have to have at least to do it. Nowadays, it seems like you'd have to be that tall.
Yeah.
Honestly, to get a certain angle and serve, and then just move in and have the type of coverage that you
wingspan.
But
do you think, okay, so that's that, but you have to be super agile too to do that, because now you have players that might change the strategies. Instead of trying to go by you, they'll go at you. If you're so long,
right,
go at your body, man, low at your feet.
Right.
And if you're not good on picking up those shots, what are you gonna do? And that to me is always
yeah, but you can be tall. I mean, if you're I don't know. I mean, I look at basketball players, dude. They're really, some of those guys are insane athletes. They're huge. They don't look that big because they're on a basketball court with a bunch of other guys. But I think you have a certain body type, and you're in incredible shape, and you're an athlete, and you've practiced doing all types of agility drills and stuff.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You think once you get to a certain height, you're automatically little
I think it's this
oafish.
Well, to the size of the object you're working with, and the spins that you're working with. You're working with a smaller ball. You're working with spins. You're working with like tiny angles on the ball.
A smaller ball, just in general, not a smaller ball compared to a tall person. To me,
of course. So I'm talking about a basketball player that's 6'10", 6'11",
okay.
right?
Yeah.
They're so good with a big ball there.
Yeah.
But now you change that to a smaller ball, to a tennis ball, and now you add a rack in his hand that it has to change, make small, tiny, fine-tuned adjustments to the grip to hit a certain spin, to hit a certain angle.
But they've done all that stuff since they were a kid because they're a trained tennis player.
I just think it's a size thing. I don't think they can. Again, the bigger you are, the.
You think there's a certain height that you get to that you're no longer can really be an effective tennis player?
I think you can be, but there's not that many that you. I mean, the 6'10", right? So you have Isner that's been made a career out of it.
But really, I guess outside of him, who else is?
Karlovic. But again, you just have one per generation.
Yeah.
And now the next one is Opelka. So you literally have one every 6-7 years that does
Isner's
that really
game. And I feel like Karlovic too, besides the serve too, was like, it wasn't like, I don't know.
I think he's got the best 6'10" ground strokes there ever was.
Isner?
Yeah.
I know, they looked so awkward though.
But again, think about him, right? Because we always talk about, like, ideally you want your, I don't know, at least in my book, you want your eye to be about a racket length plus 1 or 2 inches from the point of contact. That's where you really can work with that ball. I mean,
he's different.
Long arms, long upper body. You're further away from that ball.
Oh, you definitely are.
So your connection with that spin and whatever you try to do with that ball, it's a little bit different. And I think that's what makes those guys hard to. Although Opelka's got a great forehand, it's low because everything is low for him. The guy is 6'11". The guy looks like a cool dude too. He looks like a funny guy too.
Those guys must hold. I mean, none of those. They're not holding like a semi-Western, right? There must be more towards like.
Isner does.
And he does.
Yeah,
it's crazy that. He does.
I would think most of the time it's more towards like an Eastern.
It's more an
No,
Eastern.
he's actually no. If you look at it, he's full on.
Oh,
He's actually hitting ground strokes like a 6'2", 6'3" guy. To me, with him is
What
very
happened
interesting.
to him? He's not playing.
Injuries. He's still playing.
Oh, he is?
He's still playing, yeah. He's still playing. He was going to have a good grass court season and hardcore season. I think he's still.
Wow, he's been around for a while.
He has been, yeah. He has been. I think you got taller since last time you took a picture with him, so I think you should just have you should have a redo.
I'll tell you, watching that guy hit kick serves over the curtain.
Isn't that impressive?
Dude. Yeah. I mean, that's a high elevation on that bounce.
when
there.
he came to, he changed in our house, the house they were renting in that place. And he had that event that I was running there, and Rach had no idea about tennis, no idea like who he was. Actually 10 in the country,
he kind of got up
10 in
there
the world.
for a
It was
little
10 in
bit,
the world,
right?
yeah. And he changed in the living room, and she was upstairs, and he just went to the bathroom, and she comes down and sees those 14, 15, 16, whatever shoe size he had there. And she just stopped with one leg up, like,
Right.
it's like, what is that?
It's like you feel like you could find a paddle and use it as a boat.
Yeah,
And 16, that's like,
yeah.
I don't, even when you're tall, I don't understand how your feet can be that big and you can
Change
manipulate-
direction, so
Yes,
even more impressive.
yes,
So now going back
yes.
a little
Yeah,
bit to the
kind of.
basketball
I mean,
players,
that's going
right?
to be the move, right? If you're playing, you know, so you think someone tall, right? So you maybe hit them, they can't get out of their own way. But otherwise, just make that person change directions
That's
as
it.
much as
That's-
you possibly
if you
can,
watch-
right? Because it's
so
going
hard.
in the same direction. I mean, they're there in 2 steps, but
Yeah.
taking that, what size foot do you think he was?
I did 14, 16. 16 probably.
Taking that thing and turning
Hold
that
on.
puppy
Sean is
around.
14 and he's 6'5", dude.
Yeah.
So he must have been 16 or 17, something like that. I don't know.
Sean is a size 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a enormous
Yeah.
shoe size.
But that's
Shaq.
there you go. That's another one.
23.
23.
Oh boy.
It's over the 20s.
That kind of,
And-
honestly, feet aren't my favorite body
It's
part.
ridiculous.
A size 23, they're not. They're not. They're
23.
fucking gross. But a size 23 foot really gives me the skeeves. That is
Are you
bogus.
kidding me? It's a joke.
23. Like
Big.
how do you like? Where do you go? What do you go to?
Well, you get
You
them
have
specially
order,
made.
yeah.
And you get them specially made. But there's no way you make it past the age of 35 or 40 and don't have major foot problems, right? Your feet just can't be that big and just run into. Because honestly, if you're that tall, if you have a foot that big, you're
Super
super
yeah.
tall.
Yeah, most
Dude,
people.
that's
do.
going to be a nightmare. That's going to be a nightmare. There's no way carrying all that weight around. That's going to lead to. We might have talked about it in here. We've talked about Shaq's feet, right?
I don't think so. Did we?
You ever seen it? Again, we're really missing out on else. You should see what Shaq's bare feet look like. He showed them on, like, you can actually Google Shaq's feet, and the images that pop up are disturbing. He showed them on, like, whatever, TBS or something some years ago, dude. His toes are like, most people have their feet and their toes come, like, right out of the top of their feet. His are all disjointed, and they're, like, I think from maybe when he was younger being in
Oh, and shoes that didn't fit.
that weren't
That makes
big
sense.
enough.
Yeah.
They're like these weird fucking hammer toes and all this. Really, it's really, really disturbing. It is gross. It wouldn't even. You could get an isolated image of it, and based on the size and the way it looked, it might take you a little bit of time before you'd be like, "That's a human foot." Like you could think it's some
Really?
weird. Yes.
That bad.
Which I'm sure when he was younger, before he was a millionaire, trying to find shoes that fit were probably like,
Yeah, it's got to be it's tough. But going back to what you were saying, a tennis player, you change the direction. If you watch any match, any big match, even like we're talking 10 years ago with Isner and Nadal and Fed and Djokovic and all those guys, every time they're in a rally, change the direction. And that's, to me, going back to a little bit to strategy on that, I don't know what the coaches and everything else were thinking, and they're way better than we are. But if you don't break, right? If you have that service, nobody can break. Nobody can break you. And if you don't break staying back, why not return and go in every
Correct.
single time? Nobody can break you. You're not winning from the baseline because those guys are that much better.
You're talking about, I can't break you.
I'm
so
talking
why
about
don't I
Isner.
start?
I'm talking about Isner.
Isner's never going to get broken, but
Dude,
how
he's
can
gonna
he
get
break?
Right.
Yeah, so but he
Strategy for him
loses
to
some of
break.
those matches, right? So if I can break you, or I can break you once a match, once in 3 sets.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a 1-7-6 match and 1-6-4.
Yeah.
Set. Sorry.
Why
Why not
not
if I'm
return-
Isner's coach there or his team and all this stuff, like just
Return and
just
get in every
return and
time.
go in.
Yeah.
Return and go in. Every time. This is just obviously plastic thinking here. It's not.
Based off what, just pressure someone enough and they're eventually going to break down a little bit?
Yeah.
Or,
Rush him.
yeah.
Rush him. You're big. You're 6'10". Or at least try it for half of the match versus staying back and grinding. Maybe they try it. Maybe it doesn't work. So I'm not. But I'm just saying, I would love to see a season. I would like to see like 3 months on hard courts. Somebody like him or Opelka, every return, chip it, bunt it, go in.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna hold, right? 9 out of 10 times you serve that match, and then maybe you break once or twice doing this. You reduce the reaction time in half by moving in. And you're a big target to lob.
Right. There's definitely a pressure coming up with a passing shot to do that off every point, off of a point you're supposed to be a little bit in control of, right? Because you do feel like you have a little bit more control when you're serving. To have that taken away from you, even if you handle it long enough, there might be that point in a match where you're like mentally and a little bit physically tired of working that fast, and there it is. There's your break. Yeah, maybe.
Mike was saying this, that maybe I just remember wrong, but he was saying that long time ago, Karlovic's coach was like, every time you're staying back in a rally, you get fined $100.
That's awesome.
Right.
Kind of like, don't stay back, and that's the right strategy. Just go in, man. You're like that.
Is it? No, I mean, I guess people do it because it can be exhausting from the other end of it.
Well,
too.
I mean, think about it this way.
Well, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
If you were the one doing it,
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, even when you're grinding at the
It
baseline,
is. It is.
You can hit shots that give you a little bit of time.
You change the frequency.
You're not hitting shots that's giving anyone, when you're getting in off a serve, you're not hitting shots that's giving anyone time. It's the exact opposite. So maybe to come up with that all the time is not.
Are you talking about on the opposite end of against Isner or Isner himself?
I'm saying for Isner himself.
I
guess because he's.
I look at it the other way.
Because he can cruise on his serve a little bit. So
correct. So now I think
he's
he's conserving energy, and it's a one and done point. Chip, go in, he gets past, he's done. Instead of returning and then having to hit
to run
3 or 4 more shots. Now
Yeah,
his legs start to go, and then now his opponents, that's what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to break him down so they could break his serve.
So his legs,
Get his legs
get
going.
to his legs. Yeah,
I think by ending that faster, he could stay stronger. I think longer.
Yeah, because you don't want to get into long rallies.
No.
That it was once, I can't remember the year, but he was up on Nadal on French Open 2-1. So
who Isner?
Isner was 2-1, and imagine that if Nadal didn't break him those 3 sets, or maybe Nadal was a 7-6 set. So that's not an easy proposition though. I think might have been all tiebreakers.
Doesn't get enough credit too. Like when you're so you're this huge server, you're just expected to, like it still takes technique and work to be able to come up with those serves, even though your serve is huge, to just not have a mental break where, because your game is based off that. You're like, I got to not really get broken out here. A little pressure there. I don't know. I think that's pretty impressive too. Just being able, I feel like it gets written off as like huge. Yeah, they're just a huge server, but
it's very impressive.
Dude.
Again, we're talking the highest level of tennis. Of course, it's impressive. But to finish my point there with Nadal and Isner, Nadal said something very interesting after the match, and I remember that one night that kind of made me think a little bit on how he's looking at it. He said that fourth set, when he won the fourth set in the tiebreaker, or whatever it was, he's like, I knew that in the fifth set that he would have to break me to win. And I knew that was not going to be easy for him. Because he hasn't been broken, and he was down 2-1 against it, because he lost in 2 out of 3 tiebreakers.
Right.
So he knew when he won the fourth set, it's like, because back then, now all the Grand Slams have the tiebreaker for the fifth set. They didn't have it there. So that's how confident he was on clay that he can hold against Isner.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I felt good
Right.
because he was not going to break me. That says a lot about their confidence against a player like that serving.
Right.
So why not go in?
Yeah, I wonder why it's
If you're
not.
returning.
I wonder why it's not tried more.
I don't know. Again, but we don't know the speed of that game that they do, so this is just guessing. But
Size 16, size 18.
yeah,
Ugh,
big.
gross.
Big. That's big, right? That's
Yeah.
Big
no.
big toes.
No.
Your toenails bigger. Gross. There's so much about it. Let's get Sean up here. I want to examine his bare feet.
Oh.
Although that doesn't even seem that big. 14.
But here's a parallel on serving volley in ladies tennis. I think that could be an unbelievable strategy. I saw Mukova doing partially, not necessarily serving volley, but coming in a lot. I think that's something that can be developed a lot more on the WTA tour. I really do.
They'd have to be able to hit volleys, though.
Yeah, that's
That's a cut. No,
Yes.
it could. Yeah, it could be, but yeah, I mean, who on the ladies' side? I don't watch them. Who even gets himself up to the net during points?
That's what I'm saying. It's not many because the ground strokes are so big and they're going for it. You have Bukova, Andreescu that has the capacity of going in. That's for sure. She can do that. Zabalenka, Rybakina can come, but she doesn't need to behind her serve. That serve is just big. Which, by the way, right? So Rybakina, we talked about it before. She's 3-0 or 4-0 versus Swiatek. She got sick at the French Open, so Swiatek hasn't beaten her yet. So Rybakina is the player to beat, I think, now on the tour, as much as Swiatek is number one. So
Why
yeah,
would that not be that no one would think like when they're younger and they're training, they're all training for the game that's being played
That's a good
instead
point.
of anyone
right.
thinking outside of the box a little bit and being like, well, let's instead of you trying to do what everyone else does better than everybody else that's trying to do this thing, why don't we think different? Because I mean, they're talented.
Well, are we thinking
athletes.
different? We are those people. We are the coaches. We train the bowling. We do, but
No,
you know what I mean. So
No.
that's the thing.
you're right.
We are, but not
Mm,
not per the style of going in. It's just an addition to your
this is
ground
what you
stroke
should
game.
do when you get the
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
or to finish this
Yeah.
or that, but
Because
not,
the game is not there. So you're right. You're training for what's already there.
right.
You're not training for or coaching for the future and what
Oh,
that
it's
could be.
What it could, right.
be.
What it
That's
could
a hard
be.
thing
Yeah.
to train
It
for,
is.
man.
It's very.
I
Of
mean,
course it is. Of course it is. But you got to have look at Tony Nadal, right? He had the vision and of being, you know what? You're a righty, but I'm gonna coach you as a lefty and be a lefty player and boof, look at that. Right? So that's you have to be a little bit of a visionary like that as a coach to be like you have to see it in your product, you have to see it in your kid, you have to see it that it's there. And then
right.
you have to see what he can do with it. But I do believe, like we talked about different skills that you learn. I think volleys is one of those skills that you gotta learn before the age of 12. It's
Yeah.
14. It's got to be developed as a constant part of the game. It's not ground strokes 80%, serve 10%. No, it has to be 25, 25, 25. That's how you develop them all.
Yeah.
And I thought about it a while ago, just purely if you do an exercise on developing somebody, right? Think about this. Let's say you have a good junior and you want him to be an overall player, nothing else, and you develop everything, serves, turns, forehand, backhand, specialty shots, slices, everything else. And you not parts of the game, but you have that player 3 months, play tournaments, train, play matches, mostly matches, right? We're not talking training part. All right, you're just going to be a grinder for 3 months. Next 3 months, you're going to be a servant volleyer. We don't care about the results. It's just getting the miles in for that style. The next 3 months, you're going to mix up spins. That's all you're going to do.
Yeah.
The next 3, you get so do that for 4 or 5 seasons. And then that player, we're talking from since that player by the time it's 15,
Yeah.
he will pick the
That's pretty
right
interesting.
style. Isn't that an interesting
Well,
thought?
and they'll also have some variety to change stuff up more than
And feel comfortable with it.
right.
That's what I would do if you have an academy. I'm like, all right, because all right, they are important, but results when you're 10, 11, yes, you can talk about it, but it's just training wheels at that moment. You just learning how to lose, see what your gaps in your games are. They've been shown to you by your opponents and the matches that you lose, and now just test this out. And it's the metric is not in your wins, is the amount of matches that we played doing this style. And then you have, for those 3 months, all right, we have free matches, do whatever you want. Let the creativity come in.
Right.
I think it's great. I think it's something that can be explored. Just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Can you convince a parent of that? Because the parents are typically the ones that are looking at a result.
Of course.
I had my son with you for 3 months.
Yeah.
And all he
You
did
get
was
him
lose.
using a continental grip.
All he did was lose.
Right.
Okay.
But
We change it. Next 3 months, all he did was lose. What
Mhm.
what am I paying you to do
Correct.
to lose? They have to have the patience, and that's
Well,
certain.
if you-
I think it's good. I think it's a good
Yeah.
a good way to go. But the other
No, it's just a
aspect-
thought exercise,
No,
right? You just
I
look at
don't-
it. But you have to have a parent like, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. This is a long-term vision here.
Correct. That's the long-term
Um,
vision.
It's almost like you want the results to back it up, but sometimes you got to start with somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to learn from this. You're like, look, let's try this. Or if that parent, which the way it should be, and I would not work with a parent that's involved with my development with a kid, they have to be like, whatever you think, that's
the
fine.
thing. Correct.
That's when we work together. If
Right.
you're intervening, if you're not a tennis person that you and I can talk and discuss concepts on, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it, because whatever you do, if you're a lawyer, I'm not gonna come in and discuss law
That's
with
what I
you.
was just gonna
Yeah.
say.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Let me
It's
look over
not-
some of your cases.
Yeah,
I think I might.
yeah, I think I have a
might see a
couple
few
of-
cracks.
Yes.
Yep.
I have some.
If you trust me as a professional, trust me on this.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but nothing is.
Correct.
And we'll do it. So it's I think that part it's a good point. It I think happens to a lot of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It would not be relevant in this scenario or in our style, my style, because it will be it's a non-debatable thing if I had to do this or not. Now those 3 months can be adjusted, right? Could be
course.
10 matches. Could
Yep.
be let's go 6 matches this way, 6 matches that way, and then come back to it. Come back to it.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that idea.
Dude, just when they're young,
Yeah.
just do that. Just go in.
This is what we do no matter what for the next few weeks,
Yeah,
month, whatever. We're doing this all different ways that this is the play.
you hit a drop shot every third shot. Up to the
Right.
third shot, you hit a drop shot.
Right.
We don't care how bad it is.
Right.
Just hit it.
Right.
Hit,
Or
hit
you're
it.
into the net, or the
Doesn't
opposite.
matter.
You're back behind the baseline. You don't go for any winners. You roll balls
there you
up
go.
in a play all day long,
There you
and
go.
you wait for
You
your
can
opponent
choose the
to
styles.
make an error or this or that. Like you do all that stuff, and then that's in you. And then
It's in there.
when you need
You
to pull
planted a
from it
seed.
all, it's in there. Yeah, I like that.
You planted a seed when they're young, and that's just like walking.
Right.
It's there.
But in order for that seed to get planted, you got to sign on to it
Yeah.
You do.
for a little bit. So
But
it
it's-
becomes like, it can't be something that you're like, for 1 week or 2 weeks, you're like, oh, so this is this
Yeah.
thing you
Mhm.
can do.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And then it's forgotten about. It's like,
No, this is what we
It's-
do as a
yeah.
because right the deeper you go into a discipline, and the deeper you stay into it, whatever that is, the more you learn about it. Well, if you split tennis in multiple parts, so you enter the volley world. Do we just scratch the surface here? You learn how to volley, good.
Right.
Now learn how to change direction, good. Now learn how to change depth, good. Now a little bit of speed, good. Now how to deal with it on a run. So you enter that world, and by the time you get to your 10,000 hit in the competitive setting, you feel good about that world.
Right. Right.
But if you only did
You
200,
do without thinking.
it's there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not only is there, it's just this pattern that you train, that you know what to do in that situation, because you failed at it 9,000 times.
Right.
And by the 10,000, you start seeing everything that could happen to you,
Right.
and you answer it back.
Right.
So it's like everything else there, right? I don't know. But that's the long term, that's overall broad thinking that I think some coaches have, but that's what I would look at if you want to. But also the kid, the player needs to want it. The kid, it has to be a kid.
Well, they have to be open to it at least, because there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of failure
A lot of
while
it.
you're doing it. You know.
But again, you just change the metric. Failure in a losing part, but you gain into.
Correct.
Hey man, you went to the net
100%.
as a 10-year-old
Right.
50 times. That's
Right.
amazing.
Right.
And guess what? 3 months later, like you said, you're gonna stay back
Right.
and not gonna go in once
Right.
because you don't feel like it. People talk about different strokes. I think when you become a king of every strategy or close to every style that there is, not only that you know what to do, but you start creating your own. That kid, after does all those matches and all that stuff, he's gonna start creating his own stuff, man. Imagine if you become a serve and volleyer, a grinder, a slicer, a heavy spin, a flat player, whatever. You have a variety of serves that you want. Or like you can split this in even in a serve. Like, okay, you only kick serves now.
Right.
Only kick serves. For the next 200 points, only kick serves.
Well, besides eventually coming up with your own stuff, don't you, if you've played a certain way for a little bit and then you're playing someone that's playing that way, can't you now?
Oh, you know their world.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're now like, you've been like, oh, you can start to anticipate
Oh, I know
they're
what he's
gonna
thinking.
do. Yes, what they're going to
Yeah.
do, what they're thinking, what they might try to do at a certain point, which like ultimately that is a huge part of this game, is being able to put yourself like on the other side and thinking some of the choices
I know what
that
he's
they would
looking at.
make, and just knowing
Yeah.
ball off a certain height where something like maybe where they're going to go, because you've just done it. You've realized like, oh, that's the easiest.
Yep.
That's the easiest thing. Way I'm holding the racket now, when I'm trying to get in off of this, like you just, without maybe even realizing it, your body just
you
gravitates
just do it.
toward that. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. Could be something. But you need to have that. It could be done on a small scale too. It could be done in what we do here in clinics, by changing the whole thing, and especially the higher level. Okay, well, for the 3 weeks, and we kind of do that, and we do like progression of 2-3 weeks, right? But all the points you guys are gonna do right now for 3 weeks will be you go in every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's tough too, because we think, you're always thinking technique on how to do things here and this and that, and you're talking more on like you're working off that. Okay, everyone's technique is at a certain level.
Yeah.
So you're not even worried about that. Which, by the way, sometimes your technique is what, and there's always room for improvement, but it is what it is. Now let's learn with your technique. Let's learn all the different things you can do within that, and like that sometimes is enough to make people better than other people they're playing. They're implementing strategies.
Because, well, we rushed over this before. It's the concept of movement and readiness,
right?
And that whole reading part, which is so overlooked, right? The more like you said, you read your opponent there. You know what's going to happen. Well, that's half of the battle, if not more, to be able to go there, to be able to do that. It's, something that could be explored.
It's amazing when you give maybe the kids a little bit more in tune this than some of the adults that I work with, but how like I'll sometimes change a spin on them when I'm hitting to them, and they're at like, they're when they after the ball bounces are in like the total wrong position. I'm like, well, I sliced that. This and that. And they're like, no. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you watching what I'm doing when I'm hitting the ball? And they're like, God, no. It's like there's sometimes there's even that is one. It's like, dude, that's the earliest bit of
information, right?
You're gonna gather about what my ball is gonna do is the way I strike it. It's like heavy spin? Is it flat? Is it sliced? Did you see me unload on it? Did I feather it back? There's like all these, like if you're not watching that, now there's a ball coming at you in the air. And again, you can read the, maybe the height and the speed of it. Like to be played at a high level, you need to see it. The beginning point is the way your opponent is striking the ball, which I guess as someone who's played long enough, you guys do the same thing. We just we're in tune to doing that. So it seems to me like, well, what else would you be watching? But they're like, they've hit a ball. They're getting back into position. They're thinking about it. They're like, might be this moment where they're actually not even, it's like blurred vision. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're seeing it, but they're not actually seeing it. Like, how can you not be watching your opponent strike the ball?
Because most adults, not all, but most adults learn the sport under the veil of, I don't want to do anything wrong. So they're so worried about what they're learning. They're so worried about like their shots that they're trying to learn, so that they're so focused intrinsically that they cannot switch to the external focus. To when you compete, you're done with all of that.
Yeah.
You're done with focusing on your shot. We're not doing that right now.
Yeah.
You're just watching me.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we teach him, and you have somebody, okay, work on this, work on that, focus on your elbow, focus on your wrist, whatever that is, they do that, right? And it's a lot of information. I think it's on us to be like, okay, we're playing now, you just try to read that ball as soon as you can. And what's the earliest you can read that ball? As soon as it hits my racket.
Right.
And forget about everything else.
Right.
Because that's the shift. They're still in, I don't want to mess up here.
Right.
I'm trying to do something right.
Yeah, trumps everything else.
Yeah, I think. And that's, I've been doing lately on a board. I'm like, look, this is your mind right here. When we work on your technique, your mind goes here. That's internal focus. We work on your patterns. That's another internal focus. When you and I play, that's external focus. And you're just reading. You forget about all of this.
Right.
Forget all about internal, all about patterns and technique. Do whatever you can. Just read the ball. And that's competing there, right? Because that's eventually you want those patterns of play to automatically
it just happens.
Respond to whatever you see versus having to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, think about when you're playing in your past, when you're at your best, under a lot of pressure, someone hits a great shot, and you'll get over there and you'll hit a better shot back. Like, it's not even, sometimes it's under pressure. Maybe someone's coming in. We're talking about someone, and you know where to put the ball, and you're like, after, if you really think about it, you're like, I don't know if I made that.
You're not thinking.
By the way, it was the right choice, and I made it 14 times throughout that day. It came in. It wasn't like I got lucky once. I saw certain shots, and I made that decision over and over. So it wasn't dumb luck. Yet I'm not even sure I made the decision, except I did make the decision at some point. I don't know, so long ago that I forget even that I was making that decision. It really does. I mean, that's the way it works. I feel like people,
it's a trained
before
pattern.
they crack that code, and you're telling them like, tennis is a game of muscle memory and these decisions and this and that, and you make it, if you do it enough times, I feel like people don't 100% buy into that until part of what makes you buy into it is you've done it and you've realized, you're like, people are like, oh, how'd you know how to hit that shot? And you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Except I guess I did somewhere. But I don't even know. In fact, if you ask me to make a decision, I might fuck it up. It might be late.
Takes too long.
It might be late.
Well,
and I need to not make the decision. I need to just react.
It's a trained behavior. It's a subconscious behavior because you've done that so many times that your brain has seen that scenario over and over and over again. This is why match play is so important, because you got to see those scenarios in a pressure situation. Right. That's when you learn.
Right.
So your brain sees that, puts it in the bank, and you don't think about it anymore. You see that same scenario, you take a picture, snapshot. That's the answer. Right. Works or not, doesn't matter. Lightning speed. If you try to do conscious thought behind that decision, that takes way longer.
No way.
To process that, to send it to the body, 3 execute.
Right.
It's way too long. So that's why the train unconscious behaviors, like those patterns that you learn over and over again.
Right.
That's what comes out when you play. You cannot, in between points, you can think, okay, what type of part of my brain I'm going to? This guy's serving and volleying. I gotta respond in those type of patterns. But everything else is just trained behavior. That's when you get to those levels.
Yeah. I do. I feel like people don't believe it can get there, but it does. I mean,
well,
obviously.
I think that's the biggest issue that we deal with certain people is, for some reason, and maybe my personal experience with some people that I work with, is they think tennis is learned differently than anything else that you do, which I disagree. Right? You just take basic walking. I know that's basic.
Well,
when you walk, you fall when you're learning.
Right.
And you learn that so you don't step that way again.
Right.
And you
right.
do
That's
it over and over and
Right.
over again. And that's what you're talking about.
Right.
You are learning how to do that. And
Through a series of mistakes.
You're taking
Yeah.
snapshots every single time. Oh, wow. I walked that way. I shouldn't do it that way. I'm going to do that differently that time. And you're not getting up and saying, oh, man, I'm terrible at walking.
Right.
Yeah.
I think people, for some reason, think tennis is different. It could be other sports, too. They're like, why can't I hit the ball? It's like, you got to
That's very specific.
You got to be able to build up this muscle memory of good and bad.
Yeah.
You said that. It's and you have to be able to do that, and then it becomes more quick reaction. Automatic.
Yeah.
And you always say this. How many times do you have to hit a forehand to learn it?
Yeah.
You say thousands, right?
Oh yeah.
But
To do it unconsciously.
But they don't get to that point because they're at number 10 and they're freaking out. Right. And then they're at number 100. Oh my God.
Right.
I just hit 100 terrible ones.
Part of the process.
It's part of the process. And if they don't accept that, then that number of 100 is actually 0. And then you go again.
Right.
And then you go again.
Yeah.
It's like Groundhog Day. And then again, and then again, and then again. So a lot of the battle is just getting them to trust it.
Getting them to sign on.
It's hard.
I do feel like with a lot of lessons, they have that, some will come in, they're like, oh, I've tried so hard to fix this, and I've never been able to do it. And that's usually my answer. I'm like, but not enough yet. You just haven't
you
done
go.
it.
Correct.
You just haven't enough. And by the way, the number's different
reps.
for everybody.
Yes.
It is. It's
and
not.
it's different on different shots for the same person. But I'm like, it's you haven't hit that number. And I know you feel like you've done it a lot of times, which you have.
Yeah. But it's
still not enough.
Not
Because
enough.
when you do it enough, it just happens.
Correct.
Your brain, like, even besides your brain working late, if your brain is still leading it, it might forget. It's got to be out of your brain where it's just a reaction.
Yeah, you can.
And there's
Brain
there's
is just a tool.
Yeah.
Right.
Brain is
Right,
just,
but
it's
dude,
not, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're like, that's what you're using all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what the whole.
I gotta
No,
think
no,
about it.
right.
I gotta think about
That's
it.
why
It's
there's
just
certain,
a tool
like,
to
super
learn
heady
things.
people, I feel like they can't
Yeah.
do it
Exactly.
because they can't just I'll do that. I'm like, dude, shut your brain off. Just please swing.
Yeah.
I know you've done this enough times.
Yeah.
When I'm watching happening is I'm watching your brain hijack you instead of you just giving it over. And then sometimes I'll actually, when I'm feeding, I'll start a conversation about something else. Honestly,
To try to get them off
like
of
a
it.
quick chit chat
Correct.
a little bit while they're doing it. Before they know it, they're kind of doing it. And then I'll be like, by the way, you just did it a few times and you weren't even thinking about it.
There you go. And they're
And I'm like, stop it.
oh,
And
really?
right.
Like,
I know.
well, that's the idea because you didn't know you did it, and that's a good thing
Right.
because you've actually your body has learned it, and you're not thinking about it. Right? Like you said, it just happened. So that's a good thing. Well, I didn't know I did it. Well, you did it.
But you did it.
And trust
Because,
it
by the way,
that
before
you're going to do it again.
Before you learned how to do it, you wouldn't have swung like that.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, that's a hard marker to get people to sign on to. It really is. And it does. You said earlier, like, they got to trust you for a little bit because there's again, they're results driven. So I'll watch people hit a ball that goes over the goddamn curtain. Meanwhile, I'm like, that's it. And I feel like they think I'm blowing steam. I'm like, dude, I'm not blowing steam up your ass. That's the swing I need you to take. Now, there's other things we got to tell you. Your control will get better, this and that. But right now, we're talking about how you just strike this ball using the technique with this relaxation and this setup and this finish. And that's an aiming issue. We're talking about higher level stuff. But right now, that was the thing. I know you saw that go over the curtain, but to get people to shut off from looking at their results. Because, by the way, once they hit it over the curtain, their next swing is always so guarded.
Correct.
And I'm like, well, you just saw that go over the curtain. That's why you swung like
Yeah.
that. That's why kids are easier, because they just don't think, it's out of the can, whatever. They don't think they know how to do something, where an adult tennis player is going to come to you. An adult tennis player is going to come to you where they've watched tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've even played a little bit, where now in their mind, even though they know they don't know how to do it perfect, they think they have an idea of it. And what I need you to do is not have any idea. That's what the kids are like. They have no idea.
No idea.
They just listen to you, and,
Yeah.
and in 3 weeks, they're replicating
Yeah.
a perfect.
Because they're not questioning it,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I'm
not
saying. Well, they
like-
don't
yeah.
think they. Not only they're not
It's the
questioning
brain.
it, they don't even. That's what I mean. I don't even think adults mean to do it. They've seen it in their mind. They've watched it, and watching it, they formed
process it.
they've formed what they think it should be. And when they're swinging, they're doing a little bit of that right there. I play a little tennis, no. Honestly,
It's there's actually a good book on that, the Talent Code, I think, and they talk exactly about this concept. They talk about on that the concept of how you develop patterns, how you develop habits, and the biggest thing that I took from one of the few things that I took from that is this analogy of trying to change a behavior. And one of the most, not quickest skills that you learn, but one of the skills that you learn that you don't think of anymore, that you use every day, is tying your shoes. So when you try to change a behavior, you create that pattern in your brain of you do this with your hands, you do this with your leg, whatever it is. If that's wrong, think about how long will it take any of us to learn to tie your shoe differently. So when you try to change a behavior, you change the whole way of thinking of things. So that's harder for some people. That's why it's easier when it's a clean slate.
yeah,
You learn from scratch. You're not
yeah.
breaking down a habit. You're not learning to tie your shoe differently.
Yeah.
Because that's hard, man. Think about it.
Yeah. You have to breaking a habit takes the longest part. Forming the new one is not that.
What I heard that Foreman have, and I said this in our workshops, that it's not long, 350 reps. Breaking one can be 10 times as much.
Right.
If a kid does 300 reps on a forehand, they got that forehand.
Mm-hmm.
They got it. Have the same kid already have a forehand, and you try to change it. Well, the fact that they're younger, the neuroplasticity of the brain, it helps them, but it's still going to take longer than 350 to change it. Maybe. I think an adult, it could take up to 10 times. I do. And it's no offense to adults, and I am one, but it's just, and that's, I see it now when I'm learning.
I like you clarified.
Yeah.
I am one.
Or I try to seem like one. I'm not really. But I try to do it and keep this in mind. It actually does help when I learn in jiu-jitsu. There's so many moves, right, that you have to do, and I literally just try to visualize, and you do, like, as a fresh motion. I try not to do anything that I think it should look like. Do it the way it is to learn it fresh, and it helps. It really does to learn. I'm like, look, I don't want to do anything wrong here, just because I know how long it will take to do it. So I'm like, I don't feel bad about correcting me.
Right.
I at any means, just tell me that.
Don't you think? When's the last time you learned something new?
Man.
It could be a while, right? It can be a while.
Yeah.
I was
I
saying
think
this
that's
one.
so
I picked up the
important.
drums a while ago. When I first started, and I'm still learning, obviously. When I first started, like my first couple months, I already, when I was teaching people new skills, it reminded me again of how hard it can be to learn something that seems
You have to
simple simple
Yes.
because it is. It's like simple things. And then, like, again, we take it for granted, dude. We could hitting a tennis ball at this point, like we're that great, but we can do it good enough. We can do what we want with a tennis ball. Even when you're introducing the most beginner skill that
Yeah.
seems so simple to us, where there's like we have an automatic feel built in and the
Yeah.
exact speed to swing and all this stuff and can feel the ball swings. For like someone else, it's just not there. And when you learn a new skill, it
Yeah.
really it brings you back to that point of like, because you have that moment where you're like, wow, you see someone who can do it, and then you try it, and you're like, holy shit.
Our starting baseline in the sport is higher if we're not paying attention than what
Yeah.
some
That-
people may be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes a good coach too, the ability to understand where do we start with you. Not with everybody else, not what I think it should be.
Yeah.
It's where do we start with you specifically per your skill set. And if we start correctly there, we can build you up. But if I expect step 7 out of you
Yeah.
and you can only give me step 2, that's my mistake as a coach because
Well, don't you think as a coach we do that better than like, not like
Of course,
for
of
these
course.
tennis lessons, I've given tennis lessons to people whose friends play or spouses play or this and that, and they see them playing after a little bit, and they're like, nah, I don't know if they're getting this. And I'm like, what? Like, dude, you forget, like, if you're someone who doesn't coach
Yeah.
it, you can even
Of
play
course,
it.
man.
You can even play it at a really high level.
Yep.
And it's even worse because now you have that ability to play it, and you forget that 30 years ago you worked really, really hard to be where you're at now, and you forget the time it took. So you think
Yeah.
everything should be fast.
because
and as
that's
a coach,
automatic
we
now.
see it, and we're like, dude, I think he might be better than he's moving faster along than a lot of people.
Yep.
Or this or that, and they're looking at it and they're like, no, he's just racking in the right hand. You're like, no, they're coming. You forget how long it takes to build a, I don't know, a simple skill and then move from.
That's a coach's job. That's a coach's job to figure that out, and
Right.
you do the right thing there with kids, and like, all right, no, that's fine. Let's just stick with this.
You let everyone hit first?
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about this. Yeah, I do too.
What do you
Yeah,
mean, like a new
Even
lesson?
like a new lesson.
Yeah.
I'm always
Oh,
like,
yeah,
before,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
even
Got it.
beginners, they're like, I'm like, before we talk about anything,
got it,
I'm
you
like, will
gotta
you just
see.
go back and hit it? They're like, I don't even know what a forehand is. No, you're not giving me. I'm like, dude, relax. I'm going to break it down from the beginning, but just hit a few balls for me. And you watch them hit, and it helps me figure out
Where you're at.
where do I need to, you're still going to get the same info, but I need some plug-in level and assess hand
Of course.
eye and
That's
all
very
this-
smart,
all this
yeah.
other stuff, which I don't know, maybe that doesn't always go on, because I've had people say like, no one's ever just watched me hit before, and I'm thinking like, man,
Yeah.
like, and I don't think they're trying to do it the bad way. They're just assuming like, all right, I have all
Everybody's
the
starting
I
from
have all
this-
the info,
from
so
this
let me
spot.
just give you all the info, but. We're not all starting from the
No.
same spot. Even as beginners, we
No,
have different.
you might want to
we
get
have
to the same
different
place
things
or close
going.
to it technically, but you're not starting from the same spot
Right.
for sure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's the way it should be. You can't have everybody follow the same script
Right.
on how to learn a shot,
It's different people,
right?
different students.
You might have people that they naturally migrate to a open stance, close stance, like they do it so good because they've done it in different sports and they figure out, and that's
Right.
a massive advantage, even if they don't have technique, over somebody that has not run. They will learn how to run it, but first you got to do that with them.
Right.
And then, yes.
Short arms.
Yes.
Can't hit it back.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
body type.
yes. Body type. That's another thing, right? Figuring out on the backhand side, what's your inclination there? Are you a one-hander, a two-hander?
Right.
Right? It's you're mostly gonna hit slices if you're an adult because it might be suit you better. Just again, where's your flexibility? Do you know what lately I've been looking at? And I'm curious if you guys do this or not. On the neck flexibility, like how far can a person turn? Because that dictates how much they can turn their upper
Turn.
body before they look away from the ball. So look for that. If you want something, right? Because you're supposed to, let's say you hit a forehand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, turn fully. So you turn the upper body. We do this. That's normal. It's fine. You can go more, whatever. You watch how many people stop here. and their upper body turn
Stop
is
where? With their head?
So
Or
they're-
yeah,
their
head
head
flexibility.
can't
So,
stay on the ball.
so if you're the ball,
like the more your body turns, your head can stay
exactly.
straight?
Yes. So if you look at that, some people are limited on their neck flexibility. So if somebody can only turn this much, right? If the ball comes from here,
they won't turn.
they're not going to turn fully. We can ask them all day long to turn, but they can lose the
Yeah.
ball if they do. So
I
that's-
don't even accept any stiff neck lessons. You got to be really flexible. I've never even looked at that. Have you looked at neck flexibility?
I've never looked at it that
It makes
way.
sense, but I've never.
looked
No,
at
no,
it
it's
that
not.
way.
It's not. I've been doing it long. No, this is something that I tested out because turn a little bit more, and a little bit more. Now look at the ball, and they can't do it. I'm like, let me test your neck flexibility there, and it's you'll be amazed. In today's world, that's actually going to be a big thing for us.
So what happens? You can't teach them neck flexibility.
Well,
You
they have
can't
to
even
work on
say
it.
it. Never
Well,
mind. learn it.
but honestly, what happens if they just can't do it?
Well, then you have to work with that, obviously.
So they won't get that full
They're
maximum.
going that full
turn.
maximum, but that's your limit at that
There you
point,
go.
right? That's it. But if you that's a massive part, and it's not with the kids. Maybe it is, but it's adults. They're not. I think we're driving, and it's basically this motion that stiffens up your neck because you're driving your computer. Your back is not straight. You watch, man. You see how many people can do that on both sides. It's really hard.
It's funny because through the years, I've given lessons to some people who claim off one side or the other when they're hitting. They're like, "Oh, I
I can't.
a vision problem in this eye," and I'm always like, but you're using both eyes,
Yeah.
and they're like, no. When I turn, I only really see out of that. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Do you think?
Well, the dominant
So
eye
whatever
has a lot to do
side
with it.
You're turning, whatever side you're turning to, that eye is the first
Yep.
to pick it up, or are you?
No.
You think that's right,
No.
or
It's
do you have one eye that's doing all
Your
that?
dominant eye does all that.
Dominant eye.
That's why.
That's what I mean. So it shouldn't really matter if you have one eye that's like it turning to
No.
one direction, because if you have a dominant eye, it's working on your forehand or your backhand side.
So my dominant eye is my right eye. So when I hit a backhand, my point of contact is a little bit further back than what a forehand is. Because this is the eye that picks it all up. So if you're left eye dominant, if I was left eye dominant, but I'm a righty, I'll pick the forehand a little bit further back, and I'll pick the backhand a little bit more up front.
What's your dominant eye?
I have no idea. I know there's a test you can
There
do.
is a
but
test. It's
You can
something
it
to do
now.
with
no, like this. Do this. You can do this. Do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at me with both
I think we
eyes.
might have done this before.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot.
you have-
Which one?
So yeah, so look both eyes. Look at me. See my head
Yeah, I see
in it.
Yep.
Now close one eye.
It's lined up.
Good. Close the other one. You don't see me
so
anymore.
I'm,
Gone.
so I'm right.
So
I'm
the
right.
So
one
I'm right eye.
right
No,
eye
I know
dominant.
I
Let's see.
I know I am, because my left eye. That's what the one I've told you. I have this prescription.
so you're
where
right.
My left eye almost doesn't.
Yeah. So
doesn't
you're
work.
so you're right eye dominant. Yeah. So then for you, your forehand will be a little bit further back than your backhand is. Point of contact. Because you
My
see the
contact point.
on your forehand, because you need to turn that
Wouldn't
eye
it
more.
be further out front?
No, it's opposite. See?
Because you need to see it. You to pick up the ball to where you want to hit it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wouldn't I pick it up as it comes further back?
That's what I'm saying. This
So
one's more
my-
up front. You have to be turned.
Turned looking, you mean, to
Yeah.
see.
Hold on. No.
No,
I'm
that's
getting
what
it
I'm
wrong.
saying.
Sorry. Your right hand. So your backhand will be more up front. Your right hand. Yeah, I'm thinking lefty. The dominant side,
Yep.
right, the contact is more up front. The non-dominant side, the contact is more further back. So this will be more up front for you. I was thinking lefty.
Yeah.
So you see your backhand more up front easier. And that one's a little bit further back.
Even though my right eye is dominant.
Yes. So look here, right? Because my right hand, we're the same right now. So my right eye,
Yep.
right, picks up the ball. So I see that ball coming because that's where the object is coming from.
Yeah.
So I can catch it there.
Okay.
Right. The object is not coming from here. I'm not looking to pick it up from here in. It's from there in. So dominant side will have your point of contact a little more up front. And non-dominant a little bit further back because you got to turn.
I'm going to start asking my opponents their dominant eye before we start during the warm up.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but
Just say, hey, this is
it'll
how
just
I,
I'll
this,
float it out there
this
real
is how
quick.
I
What's your dominant eye?
no. This
And
is
they
how
say
I,
why? I'd be like, just wondering. No, don't worry about it.
This is how I greet people. What eye can you see me
Yeah.
through?
So what are you? You're right or left?
I'm right.
You're right. Yeah. So you're right at dominant. So same thing.
I don't know. Have you seen my forehand lately? I catch that pretty late.
Yeah.
It's weird that one like I get it with your feet or your hands, and then you use that one more,
Yeah.
which feeds into it. Like
Yeah, but again, you
what,
just
what
saw
my
it, right?
eyes. I know, but I'm looking straight. Why it's that? Well, now I'm dominant. What at some point? What,
Look, it's not all of it.
Yeah.
We're talking like
Right.
So it's not all
No,
of it. It's
but it's
not.
still-
This Moratoglu talks a lot about this, but it's it's not meant to be obsolete. There, it's not meant to be. It could help. It could definitely help. Because if I'm turning my right eye, right, too much, this right eye cannot pick up the ball over there because the ball's coming from here. So I need to pick up the ball. So I need to be a little bit more open to make contact.
You have a bit of a stiff neck, though.
I do. But you look at the stiff neck though, because that's big. We talk about flexibility on your hips and arms and all that stuff, but the neck has a lot to do with it too, man.
Yeah.
It does. It's as silly as it sounds. I don't know. We're really breaking ground here with just.
I feel like I'm in like a sauna right now.
Yes, it is.
It is
It is hot.
freaking hot.
Am I sweating?
You're like so.
Dripping down me.
Kevin's looking. What else can I take? All right, should we call it or keep going?
What time is it? I have an eval at
it's-
6.
Ooh,
Oh, it's 4:45.
4:45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's run this thing through for another
that's
hour. and a
it.
half.
Larry's like, come on, man. Well, we said we're going to
All
talk a little bit about tennis, and
We
it
talked
was
a
all
lot about
tennis.
tennis.
Yeah.
All tennis.
Yeah, mostly tennis. It's a balance. That last one I do remember not being.
That was nothing.
About
the one
tennis
there was no tennis.
at
It's fine.
all.
It was. We got a little bit more into life
Was it just you two?
and Dolphy. So literally, I was on. I'm like, wow, but it's a cool one. It really is a cool one. It's just
Yeah.
we enter like maturity and all that stuff, and
Right.
there's a lot. There's about 10, 12 now.
That's a lot of them.
There's a lot. Yeah. So. Well, boys, good one.
I think we said it all.
Yeah.
A tang. Yeah, that's
Solved
it.
all the problems.
Yeah, that's it.
Solved all the problems.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Good work. You want to know what cools you off? It's amazing. Those even